Good morning and welcome back to Early Morning Chats. I'm your host, Lauren Early, the Director of Advocacy for ASID HQ. And I have a wonderful, very exciting guest today, Kristine Nicoloff. She is currently serving on our National Board of Directors. She is part of the ASID Carolinas event. So it was wonderful to see you in person recently. And she is a national award winner. And behind all of that, she is a longtime advocate. And I'm sure I'm missing many hats as well that she wears. But welcome, Christy.
Thanks. It's so good to be here.
I am so happy to have you. And I think this is going to be a super interesting conversation today. So, Christy is an expert in the space of artificial intelligence and more specifically, how AI impacts the interior design profession. Now, if you just heard that and you're going, what a broad topic for an early morning
Yes.
chat episode, we agree. We really want to flesh out today a little bit of Christie's knowledge about AI and its impact on interior design, but that intersection with advocacy, which is what these
hmm
chats are all about. So, without further ado, Christy, can you tee us up a little bit about what your thoughts are about AI in the interior design profession? Give us that 10,000-foot view, if you will.
The first thing I tell people is don't be scared of it. It
Yeah.
is not going to replace you. It is a tool. You should use it as a tool to help you be more efficient or as a writer's block or design block, or if you're trying to find some
Yeah.
inspiration for something. If you are old enough like me, you remember when you were younger and you pulled magazines out of pages and you put them in a binder, or you pinned them up on a wall. Now we've moved to Miro boards, and sometimes we use AI to like, hey, help me create this feeling, this mood, and it gives us a bunch of different things to look at. So that, AI could be used as a helpful tool, and people are afraid to use it, and they shouldn't be. The thing that we have to remember is that the human connection is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
So it can't replace us. So when you're meeting with your client and you're having that story time with them of like, here's what your concept is, here's what we're trying to emote, here's what you're trying to achieve. That's that personal connection.
Right.
And everything else behind it is help. It's a tool.
Right.
So a lot of it is just learning the tools that are out there and what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. And I mean, I think it's something we've been hearing, but always worth reiterating. It is a tool, not a replacement.
hmm
To your point, it, is not going to be able to confirm the way that you as practitioners are that it's a space is safe, functional, and code compliant in some
Yeah.
instances. So I will say, notoriously, policy, this broad umbrella of advocacy, which includes public education and awareness, which includes legislation, regulation, is about 15 years behind the world of technology. They do their best.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that resonates in many
Yeah.
ways, right? We maybe
hmm
social media came to your mind and regulations around that, certainly
Yeah.
AI. So they are notoriously behind on regulating appropriately and safely for consumers technological advancements, which includes AI. So I want to hear from you, and I'm curious on how you view this intersection and sort of basically if you have any suggestions as an expert in the AI space on things that we as ASAD should look out for in terms of advocacy around these technological advancements, AI, and all the things
Yeah.
in order to protect and advance interior designers and the practice of the
Yeah.
profession.
Yeah, we could talk about this for hours, but the one
Right.
thing I don't think anybody's really talking about right now is copyright.
Okay. Yeah.
So we are used to pulling things together at the last minute and coming up with designs. Say if you get an RFP and you have to respond to it and they say, "Hey, we need a design in 24 hours," and you're like, oh, "I got to use AI to help me be efficient." And you're
Oh,
pulling
yeah.
imagery for that. Well, the images you might be pulling are not yours if they're coming from across the internet.
Right.
Images are
Right.
copyrighted. So if you're pulling in all of that and it ends up generating an image and you're in a rush and you put it out there and you don't realize what you just presented is actually another firm or another designer's work,
Right.
you're in trouble.
That's some copyright infringement. Yep.
It is. And that is the one area where people are sourcing things right now.
Sure.
Whatever is out there on the web, that's what it's pulling from. So you really have to be careful to
Yeah.
protect your images, making sure that you have some sort of marker or something on them when you're putting them out there, but also run it through filters, double check it, make sure you're
Sure.
not grabbing things that aren't yours, and have that creative flow be your own or be
Sure.
from the
Sure.
place that you work, because that is the one area where if you're not careful and there's something out there and you end up creating something that's really close to it, you could end
Yeah.
up getting sued later. And that's a
Yeah.
problem.
That's a super interesting angle to all of this. So, for those that may not know, I work in this space. So, interior designs themselves currently are not copyrightable. They do not have,
Right.
and also to be clear, copyright is done at the federal level. So, it's a congressional protection for what is not copyright material. Now, to Christy's point, and what I think is super interesting about her comment is photographs and tangible things representing interior designs or the building shell or other aspects of the design are copyrightable. And
Yep.
so these AI bots as I kind of understand them to be open source. They're kind of pulling as I loved your analogy that we used to do the scrapbooking in a way
Yeah.
to pull
Yeah.
inspiration from magazines and other print media. They're doing that from digital media across
Yep.
a lot of platforms. And I think that's a great idea for all of you as individuals to be very mindful of whenever you're drawing inspiration, that you're triple checking the
Mhm.
sources of your
Yeah.
use on the tool that is AI, and being mindful not to creep on anyone else's
Yeah.
intellectual property of other practitioners. So that's a super interesting
Yeah.
angle, and one we can certainly keep an eye out for. Again, these current copyright protections for interior designs are fairly weak. So we already do a little in that space to try to strengthen them and try to advance those protections so that we have some equity with our design and construction professional
Hmm.
partners, that is. But I do think these implications of AI pulling inspiration for us is a really interesting
Yeah.
way to think about this. So many implications. And like I said, the law is way behind on all of it. But
Yes,
we
it is.
will stay vigilant. And we certainly look to people just like you, experts in this space, to tell us where you think it's going, where you think it's headed, the profession, and sometimes at large, the society, that is. That's much harder. But I will certainly have to call on you when 15 years from now, when there's finally laws in place or being
Yeah,
proposed
exactly.
that are regulating these things, God forbid. Thank you so very much, Christy. And it's been a delight hearing from you today and connecting with you. I appreciate your time and energy.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And to all of you listening in, thanks for tuning in. And we hope to see you next time. Appreciate it.